Hello, greetings to all the mystics and the dreamers out there. Hello to everyone in YouTube land. My name is Belle, and I'm here to offer a little bit of tarot inspiration today. I have drawn 4 cards, each from 2 different decks of cards. I'm using the Joie de Vivre Tarot by Paulina Cassidy and the Chrysalis Tarot by Holly Sierra and Tony Brooks. And if you hear a little bit of noise in the background, they're doing construction on my street, so hopefully that doesn't interfere too much. Just got back from vacation over the weekend. It was a really nice time. Now I'm ready to get back to all my fun projects, so it's going to be really cool. It was really rejuvenating to be on vacation. It's kind of a family reunion plus vacation, and a lot of positive people, a lot of good times, so it was, like I said, rejuvenating. And now I'm back to my normal life, ready to work on my projects and give a little extra energy to all of that. It's been definitely like a cycle, different cycles of work and growth and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's the update of what's going on with me. And now let's get into the tarot cards. I haven't looked at them yet, so let's see what comes up. Joie de Vivre cards are coming up first. First card is 7 of Cups. Okay, this card is like, see how I feel like she's kind of manipulating these little birds. This card, the phrase that comes to mind is "tell me what I want to hear." So I feel like these little animals and the little birds have messages for her, but she's manipulating the messages too much to really get anything that's worthwhile. So kind of a little warning card, like don't just hear what you want to hear necessarily. Okay, the second card is the Magician. This is really cool. If you look at my Instagram feed for today, or you might be looking at this video at a different time, but earlier this morning I drew the Magician card from the Shadowscapes Tarot for my daily card on Instagram. So this is kind of interesting. So what I said for the Magician on Instagram, I related it to the construction going on my street outside, and I was like, the Magician reminds me of our personal powers of creativity and how we, through our beliefs about ourselves and about the world around us, we create our own elements of reality. So this is what the Magician reminds me of today. I think I'm going to go with that same meaning. It's kind of interesting. It's like a weird genie in a bottle, which is actually a cat character or figure at the same time. Very, very whimsical, very strange. And the cat has like 4 arms holding the different elements of the different suits, or the symbols of the different suits. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the same meaning from the Instagram card. It's about using your own creative personal power. Okay. Oh, wow. The Tower card. Everything topsy-turvy. Usually this means like a huge life transition that is a little bit challenging. So it could mean that, or it could mean everything's topsy-turvy. Something is destroyed, and then a cycle of regrowth will happen to bring it back together in a new way. That's kind of interesting. And last one is Ace of Swords. I draw this card a lot in this deck, and I really like this card. I like how the character has a telescope, and he's bounding across this landscape. He has a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of exuberance, and he has a sword out, but it's kind of more like brandishing the sword in like a fun way, like just cutting back some thorns or something like that, cutting back some vines, and just clearing the path with that telescope that is setting your sights on something brand new. So this reminds me to keep forging ahead on new paths and keep my eye to a telescope and if I keep my eye to the telescope, I can keep having new visions of the future. And it kind of goes along with the idea of the creative personal power of the magician, because it's saying, well, there's a sword in this one too, of course, but as soon as you set your sights on something, if you can visualize something, it's easier to make it happen. That's what they say, but I think it seems to be true, because like, especially like if I'm in a rut, I can't really see what the future, I can't really plan the future that well. I'm just in a rut. But if I have my eye to the telescope, I can have a vision of the future that is very positive. So that's what this card reminds me of. Okay, these are really cool cards from Joie de Vivre Tarot. That was cool. I mean, it started off with a little bit of a warning, with like, don't just hear the messages in life that you want to hear. Make sure you have that balance of a healthy sense of being open to, not criticism, but like being open to having a sense of humor, and not always, just simply not always hearing what you want to hear in life, because that kind of is vanity or weird kind of self-centeredness. And very, very strange cards. They don't really go together that well. So you have the Seven of Cups, don't just hear what you want to hear. And the Magician, creative power, personally. Then the Tower, challenging transition. And then Ace of Swords, setting your sights, forging new paths. Okay, well, it's a lot of different choppy messages, but I like it at the same time in a way. Okay, next let's go to Chrysalis Tarot. First card is the Moon. It's really cool. People have different ideas about solar versus lunar energies. I don't know that much about that, but I know the moon is a powerful goddess symbol, and in some traditions and some spiritual ideas. It's kind of interesting that in this card it's depicted as this island. So there's like the moon in the foreground, and then in the background there's this island with someone with outstretched arms on it. So it's kind of like my husband Joie and I say that we have our own island planet, which is like saying that we have our own microculture, or like our own way of doing things, because we don't always want to match up with mainstream culture at all. So that kind of reminds me of this island on this card. The person is not lonely. The person is just like creating their own sense of things in like a positive solitude way. So I don't understand exactly why this card is depicted this way in terms of the moon. And I don't know that much about lunar energies right now. But if you're interested, you should look up the difference between like solar energies and lunar energies in different spiritual traditions. That would be fun. Okay, the second card in Chrysalis Tarot is the Phoenix. And the Phoenix is represented through the Judgment card. It's kind of interesting. Judgment, I don't know what judgment would mean. Like, judgment is usually not positive, and here is the Phoenix. I don't know. I mean, a phoenix is like rising from the ashes, regrowth, being reborn. And this Judgment card, I don't know. Okay, let me hold this up so you can meditate on it in the way that you want to. So it's a Phoenix, Judgment. I'm drawing a blank. It seems like the Phoenix is kind of on top of this orb, or this globe of some type. I'm not sure what the traditional meaning of Judgment is in the tarot, because I'm still learning about all these things. I don't know. Let's look at the other cards and see if it shakes down a little bit. The Mime, Page of Spirals. This could be about being a good listener, since mimes traditionally don't speak as much. This could be about being a good listener. And I don't know. Let's just say that, like having a sense of playfulness and being a good listener. And the last card from the Chrysalis Tarot, last card of today, is Two of Mirrors. Here we have two swans. They have mirrors facing away from them. The swans almost form like a heart shape with their necks, and there's like a beautiful tree above the pond, and there's like bluebell flowers down at the bottom. For some reason, like they have the suit of mirrors in the Chrysalis Tarot. I'm not sure which suit it is supposed to be matched up with traditionally, but it always reminds me of like self-reflection in either a positive or a negative way. And in this card, it's like the swans have mirrors with them, but they don't really care. They're just kind of like living their lives. They know that they're magnificent birds. They have that inner knowing. They don't need to look at themselves in the mirror constantly, even though they have that option. So this reminds me that we don't have to reflect ourselves all the time. We don't have to have that sense of personal reflection all the time. We can just have a dose of it when it's helpful, when it makes sense to have it. So I like how it's kind of carefree in terms of the way that the swan has the mirror but is not using the mirror that much. It's like a carefree sense of self-reflection. It's not obsessive. Like obsessive would be staring into the mirror and like analyzing all your shadow side, analyzing every flaw, every time you flinch. And this is like reminding us to be carefree about analyzing things in life, especially self-reflective things. Okay, so this was a hodgepodge today. I don't really feel like there's not much of a flow of the cards in a series at all. We just have like a lot of different ideas. So I hope that one or two of the cards stood out to you, and perhaps there's a little bit of a card in there that, you know, resonates with you today. There's a lot to choose from. And again, I should have said this at the beginning, but these tarot videos can be viewed at any time. I'm not trying to line up the tarot videos with a certain date, certain week, or anything like that. I'm just putting them out there, and I think it's more of the theme. And if you happen to watch the video and it happens to be inspiring to you that day, then that's great. Which card should we leave with? My favorite card, and I guess it keeps coming up anyway, but the Ace of Swords, like having that really positive vision with the telescope and just only using the sword to cut through the vines and create your new path in life. Like setting your sights. This is really cool. I really like this card. So I will end with that card, the Ace of Swords from Joie de Vivre Tarot. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.